Hi, I'm Dick Wagner with the Crest Network. Today I want to talk about targeted sales, specifically selling to your ideal client. There are 6 strategic steps that I want you to consider. These 6 strategic steps are designed and intended to help you win the sale. Number 1, identify your goals in writing. Yes, in writing. Identify your goals, what you want to achieve, and put them in writing. If you don't put them in writing, they don't exist. Number 2, know what you will say to your prospect or your client. Number 3, always try to do and say the opposite of what they expect. That one might raise a question in your mind. We're going to talk about that. Be sure that you're willing to, and then do this, disqualify any prospect that isn't your ideal prospect. Ask deep and thought-provoking questions, and ask everyone you meet for introductions. Notice I didn't say referrals, I said introductions. We're going to talk a little bit more at length about that as well. The 6 strategic steps to win the sale, starting with the first one in a little bit more detail. Identify your goals in writing. I don't think I have to spend a lot of time on this, but decide what is expected of you. Decide what you want to achieve. Maybe your boss has given you goals or targets. Make sure that you put those in writing. Put the numbers down on paper. Write out, I want to do $100,000 in sales this month. Once you have achieved, put down in writing what your specific goal is. Let's say that it is $90,000 for the month. Now you take that $90,000 number and break it down by the day. So that means that you're going to need to sell $3,000 a day in order to achieve your $90,000 at the end of the month. And folks, all you mathematicians, I hope I did the math on that correctly. Track your success every day. If you're at day 5 and you don't have $15,000 in sales booked, you're behind the 8 ball. If you're at day 10 and you have $60,000 worth of sales booked, you're ahead of the game. But you need to be tracking the success every single day. Otherwise, failure to write it down means it's not in writing, it doesn't exist. Failure to break it down by the day doesn't give you the daily target number to work for. And failure to track where you're at means you're really not motivated, you're not worried about it, you're not putting forth the serious thought that you need to. Knowing what you will say, folks, please never, never, never wing it. Write down and memorize a 15-second introduction. And third, make the first 60 seconds about the client. You saw the 60 seconds graphic scream across the screen for a specific reason. I want you to get in your head that every time you are meeting with a client, make the first 60 seconds about them. Completely, exclusively, totally about your client. And number 4, build credibility by knowing exactly what their pains, headaches, problems, challenges, and issues are, and then very succinctly stating to that client exactly what those pains are. They will then know that you know what you're talking about, that you're an insider. I mentioned at the beginning of this video, do the opposite that they expect. I also mean say the opposite that they expect. And you can simply create this idea in your head that they think of you as a salesperson, and so they expect you to say and act like a salesperson. So the short answer here is don't act like a salesperson. Break the pattern that they expect. If they're expecting you to say and sound and act like a salesperson, folks do the complete opposite of that. Oh, and you know what? A salesman will often say, "How are you doing today?" That's kind of a blah, boring, generic, wasted phrase. It doesn't, in our day and age, show any level of sincerity. It's just a filler question. So don't say it. Say something useful, valuable, something meaningful about their business or their industry. That's where you do the opposite that they expect. Disqualify prospects that aren't your ideal client. Too many times, salespeople consider every single person that they are in front of, every single person that they present to, every single person that they interact with in a business relationship as a potential qualified prospect. And maybe we make that decision simply because we reach over and touch their wrist and see that they have a pulse and go, yeah, there's an ideal prospect. Well, you and I both know that isn't always the case. Not everybody is an ideal prospect. And if you're targeting, if you're presenting, if you're trying to sell to someone that is less than ideal, it's a wasted effort. Don't be afraid to walk away from the wrong prospect. Your time is too valuable, and you are too valuable to waste it on the wrong prospect. Folks, please get in the habit of, get comfortable with saying, when appropriate, you know, we may not be a good fit. Disqualify wherever you can. Always ask deep and thought-provoking questions. Questions that ask about their company. Questions that ask about the industry that that business or company is in. Wherever appropriate, you can ask thought-provoking questions that are of more of a personal nature. Also, ideally ask questions that are posed in the form of a statement about their pains, about their headaches, about the hot buttons that they're struggling with within their own industry or within their own organization. Also, don't be afraid to ask specific questions about the client's facility, their business, their strategies, their plans, their desires, their hopes, what their goals are. If you don't know what your client's goals are, how can you possibly be thought of as someone that can help them achieve those goals. And I talked about this one at the beginning as well, and put a little asterisk beside it. Ask everyone you meet for introductions. This is different than selling somebody something and asking them for referrals. Most everybody, you sign up a hotel to a pre-disaster program, and when you're all done, you say to the general manager, do you know of any other hotel managers in town that I should contact that I can present this same program to? Is there anybody that you can refer me to? I don't think that a referral is anywhere near as valuable as when you ask that general manager if there's any other business or manager that he could introduce you to. An actual introduction, even if it's done on the phone, is extremely valuable. Just a referral, it's so-so. An actual introduction has proved time and time again to be very, very valuable. So in every visit or in every meeting that you are in front of a client, ask them to introduce you, and be clear that you actually want an actual introduction to someone else. And I encourage you to do this even if the presentation didn't go real well, or in other words, the client said, no, I don't think this is for us. Boy, don't just put your tail between your legs and walk away. Say, hey, great, I completely understand that. Not every client is an ideal fit for this. Do you know of someone that you could introduce me to that you think might be a good fit for this program? So just in case you missed it, we're going to recap. Identify your goals in writing. Know what you plan to say before you say it. Do the opposite that your client would expect. Don't be afraid to disqualify prospects that aren't your ideal client. Ask deep and thought-provoking questions of your clients. And please get in the habit of asking everyone you meet for introductions to somebody else that might be interested in what you have to offer. I'm Dick Wagner. You've been watching the Crest Network. I appreciate the time, and I hope you learned something special today. Thanks so much.